up, JP Nation? It's your boy JP. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back to my channel. If you're a new subscriber, welcome to my channel where we do basketball reaction videos and basketball content. If you love the game of basketball like I do, make sure you subscribe to ItzJustJP down below and click the notification bell. You know where our next upload is. On the road to 40K. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Today we are reacting to the Dream Team documentary from NBA TV that came out years ago. A lot of people want me to react to it because I got so much good feedback from the Magic and Bud documentary that I reacted to. So this is the Dream Team documentary. This is talking about the 1992 Dream Team, the best Olympic USA team of all time. No doubt about it. 11 Hall of Famers. 11 Hall of Famers and a college player. They were just phenomenal. They were like the Beatles back in the day. Like, everybody just wanted to see them. Everybody had pictures. Everybody wanted to be with them. I mean, it was just a phenomenon. Really a phenomenon. Nothing that you probably can't see again, though. But we want to go ahead and react to it. Definitely let me know in the comments below what you think about this documentary. It's going to be breaking up into 4 parts right here, so I'm excited to get into this video. Make sure you rack up the likes, too, as well. Without further ado, I give you the reaction of the Dream Team documentary.
Why do people talk about dreams so much in sports? Dream seasons, dream matchups, dream opportunities. They do it because so much of sports is about imagining what you want things to be like.
Love the beginning.
If only the setting were just right.
It was one of those times none of us will ever forget.
The characters just right.
I don't know anything about Angola, but Angola's in trouble.
The timing just right.
11 Hall of Famers. I don't think you can ever do that again. At no point in time.
If only it could all be the way you might have dreamed it up yourself.
Are you filming?
Yep. That was the most exhilarating 15 seconds of my life.
People perceived us as being superheroes.
Please, Michael Jordan!
No Isiah Thomas stuff.
Thomas question.
Cool. It became a team, and that team just stomped on everybody.
This never happened in sports. Nowhere.
Well, I figured eventually there'd be a movie made about the Dream Team.
This group may well be the greatest team ever assembled
By
in
far.
the history of team sports.
By far.
God bless you, and God bless America.
Oh, Bill Clinton.
20 years can go by pretty fast, and the world isn't going to stop and wait for you to remember what it used to look like. 1992 was a time of change. New faces in America quickly transforming into cultural icons. None more so than the superstars of the NBA.
The Bulls have repeated. Let the party begin.
After the legends of the 80s lifted the league's profile to new heights, a fresh crop of players have blown the lid off.
Coast to coast.
Here's Hewitt. Robinson.
Their talents and their charisma made them more than just basketball players.
Still don't know how you did that.
Role model.
They were a new kind of star athlete whose popularity transcended the game.
Is it the shoes?
No, Paul.
And now the very best of them awaited their brightest showcase, the world's largest athletic stage, the Olympic Games in Barcelona, Spain, even if no one truly realized the impact they would make there.
It's a watershed moment in the history of sports, not just the Olympics, not just basketball. It moved the culture along.
But in 1992, not everyone was ready for them. Not everyone thought pro basketball stars had a place in the Olympics.
This kind of thing had never, ever, ever been done. So there was a lot of, poking the bear, if you will, by people in my profession. Sports journalists and journalists in general were skeptical, angry. because this wasn't the Olympic movement.
The Olympic ideal had always been about amateur competition, which meant the United States had always sent basketball teams made up of college kids. Teams that dominated for decades. In 1972, the Soviet Union was awarded a victory over the U.S. in a controversial gold medal game.
Unbelievable.
To this day, that American team still hasn't claimed their silver medals. But that result seemed like a fluke when the Americans got the gold in their next two Olympic appearances.
U.S. has its 9th gold medal.
While the U.S. celebrated, though, the rest of the world was catching up. So in 1988, when the Soviets won again, there was no talk of any fluke.
The United States goes home with a semifinal loss to the bigger, more experienced USSR team.
I was embarrassed. I know some of the guys left their medals there in the room. They didn't want to take them home. And here we are, USA on our chest, and we didn't get the job done.
But the amateur ideal had gotten muddled. While NBA players were prohibited from Olympic competition, professionals from other leagues abroad could play.
If you played in Europe for money, you were an amateur, but if you played in the NBA for money, you were a professional. And so our players weren't eligible.
Those other countries.
That's kind of unfair, though, because other countries, they're playing for the respective teams internationally and bringing all these professionals in, and it just seems like the NBA players at the time could not get into the Olympics because they were ineligible. They were making money because they were professional. I was like, it just did not make sense. It really did not make sense. It's like unfair. Like, what? Like, what? Like, the American players, we have professional NBA players. I guess they were scared that the NBA players is going to show them, like, what it's really like, but I still don't get that to this day. I really don't. Why? I really don't. But thank you to David Stern for basically getting the NBA players to play in the Olympics. No offense or disrespect to college kids whatsoever.
They've been using pros. Playing against 18, 19
Yes.
year old kids. That is really unfair.
Yes.
Changing the hypocrisy, though, was a central goal of a European named Boris Stankovic, the head of FIBA, the World Basketball Federation.
He was very much intent on lifting basketball up to the highest possible level of international sports. And if the whole world knew that the very best players in the world were not participating in the Olympics, that made it a second-class event.
So in 1989, Stankovic issued a resolution to allow pros from all leagues
I met
to
Stankovic.
compete in the Olympics.
Thank you.
But back in America, the NBA was lukewarm to the idea.
We wanted to be good partners with FIBA to grow the sport of basketball, but we weren't particularly anxious. We didn't know what it would mean. We didn't know if our players would want to do it. We didn't know what the logistics were, but the vote passed and NBA players were eligible for the Olympics.
Now the issue wasn't about whether American pros could play, but whether the best players wanted to play.
Summertime.
The one guy that that we were a little concerned about was probably Michael.
The thought back then was Michael Jordan plays 36 holes of golf 90 days during the summer. What the hell is he going to be doing playing basketball?
I was hoping they would not ask me to participate. And I was trying to figure out a way graciously that I could decline. I'd done the Olympic thing before, and when Rod Thorne called me and asked me, I wasn't gung-ho about it.
My appeal to him was, you're the top player in the world. This is bigger than the NBA Finals, and we need you. His thing, well, who else is playing? I mean, are all the good players going to play? I'm not going to play by myself.
So Michael Jordan waited to hear more, and Rod Thorne made his next call.
It was a no-brainer for me. I was in from day one. And I figured if I jumped in first and said I wanted to play, that would get guys to want to participate as well.
I think that Magic wasn't on that team, I don't think it would have been as spectacular as it was. And to finish out our careers, that was important for both of us.
Once you get guys like Magic and Larry committing to the team, then all of a sudden it becomes something very, very special.
Yeah.
Representing the USA is already a tremendous honor, but to know that you're going to be on a dream team is a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Magic, Bird, and David Robinson weren't alone in their pride.
They called in the big guns. We're the Navy SEALs, and we had to go over there and kick butts and take names.
With those stars and the Utah Jazz tandem of John Stockton and Karl Malone, the dream team was starting to take shape.
It don't matter if you call me last. I got the call.
I didn't feel like that I deserved to be called, but I truly wasn't going to tell them that.
I was like, yeah, I'm in. I didn't even think to say who else on the team. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Yes.
Charles Barkley's ability was never in question, but his attitude was.
God want us to win the world championship.
I don't know if I go that far, Charles.
I talked to him the other night. I learned early in Philadelphia. It doesn't matter what I say. So from this day forward, I'm going to say what the hell I want to say. And some people are going to like it, and some people are going to dislike it.
But after a series of incidents on and off the court, the least of the committee's concerns were about what Barkley would say.
I was asked to talk to him. He was so honored that we would even think about asking him. He convinced me that you won't have any problems with me.
Now, with the team nearly complete, Rod Thorne had enough talent secured to go back to where he started.
Representing my country was a big thing, but I think, the biggest motivation for me was now I get to spend time with some of the guys I compete against all the time.
Portland's Clyde Drexler rounded out the list of NBA players, while the final spot on the roster was reserved for an amateur, Duke's Christian Laettner, coming off back-to-back NCAA titles.
He was a phenomenal college player.
Puts it up.
Yep.
In any other Olympic year, Laettner might have been the team's biggest star, but on this team, he was fine with being the last guy on the bench.
I tell people this all the time, and it may shock them, but my most enjoyable year was my freshman year, because they don't expect nothing from you except carry the luggage, do the laundry, and get our donuts. And that's easy. The harder thing is to be a leader.
So Shaq keeps saying that he should have been on the original Dream Team instead of Laettner. So I want to know in the comments below, would you rather had at that time Shaquille O'Neal or Christian Laettner on the Dream Team? I could not imagine how Shaq in that being on that Dream Team. That would have been interesting. That would have been freaking interesting just to see. But Laettner was winning championships for Duke, and he was the best college player at that time. Even though Shaq beat him for College Player of the Year, but he was still the best college player because he was winning championships. But that team would have been a lot different with Shaq, though. Oh my God. So would you rather have Shaq or Christian Laettner on that Dream Team at that time? Please let me know in the comments.
By May of 1991, 2 months before the Olympics, the team was set. 1 college kid and 11 future Hall of Famers. The man charged with putting it all together was the unflappable Chuck Daly.
Okay, all set? All set.
Chuck looked the part. He was the guy that looked like he owned the arena, but he would also push the broom.
His hair was beautiful. His suits were immaculate. He wanted to win, but he wanted to look good.
As the head coach of the Detroit Pistons, Daly did both, winning back-to-back championships in 1989 and 90.
The Pistons are winners and still champions of the world.
The Pistons were nicknamed the Bad Boys for their aggressive and some said dirty style of play, never more evident than in their memorable playoff battles with Michael Jordan's Bulls.
That was a series.
He is necktied. Michael Jordan goes down hard.
Detroit and Chicago had no love for each other.
So when Daly was named the Dream Team coach, many wondered how he'd handle working with the Bulls' biggest star.
I was being asked to wrestle with some demons and some issues.
But the coach was well acquainted with the task of managing personalities.
He coached the bad boys. And if you can coach those, you can coach everybody.
Facts.
One player Daly wouldn't be coaching in the Olympics, however, was his own star in Detroit, point guard Isiah Thomas, who controversially had been left off the team's roster.
Still to this day.
No matter how much people try to say now, it was no big a deal. It was a big deal.
I talked to Isiah at the beginning of the year about the aspect he wasn't on the team, and he was not comfortable with it. I'm sure he is very hurt. He's a very deserving player, but he was not selected.
Thomas was well on his way to a Hall of Fame career, but was also seen by many as the biggest cultivator of the bad boys image in Detroit.
Isiah was the general. He was the guy that would yap at his teammates and say, knock them on the ass, do whatever you got to do.
A beautiful backdoor pass from Pippen, and he is walloped. He knew he was going to get hit.
I despised the way that he played the game.
Did you want him on the dream team?
No, I did not want him on the team.
Did Michael? Did you want him on the team?
Well, I can't speak for Michael, but I don't think he wanted him on the team.
Now, there has been speculation that your icy relationship with Isiah Thomas is the reason that he was not selected. Well, what is your reaction to that?
That was one of the stipulations put to me prior to me even committing that Isiah wasn't a part of the team. I was getting strong innuendos that it wasn't just, it was coming from higher places that didn't want Isiah Thomas on the team.
Certain things are being pointed at me because of our relationship and of course about the way that the end of the game between Detroit and Chicago ended.
We were picking the group just after the Pistons had been eliminated by the Bulls, and it was very bad timing for Isiah. Everybody had fresh in their mind the picture of Isiah walking off the court.
Yeah, that was controversial.
When the Pistons walked off the court before the final bell, I think it left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths.
All right, no Isiah Thomas
question.
Cool.
Jordan.
Yeah, so the Isiah Thomas he would have been on the dream team, but just his antics and a lot of players didn't really feel like they want him on the dream team, especially. But everybody was kind of blaming Michael, like Michael cut him off the team. It's like it wasn't just him, I heard Magic didn't want him on the team because of just personal shots that Isiah took at Magic. Don't know about Larry, but Scottie Pippen didn't want him on the dream team. So it was just like he was just a controversial figure at that time, and he probably wouldn't mesh well with the other players because of his antics. So, and he's still salty about it to this day. He's still salty about not being on the dream team. You can hear it on Open Court when they was talking about the decades, and then they brought up the 90s, and when somebody brought up the best small forward of the 90s, Isiah was looking at Grant Hill, was like, man, Grant Hill was so much better than Scottie Pippen. But everybody knew it was going to be Scottie Pippen, but Isiah was like, don't want to hear it, and then it just brought up just old wounds because of the whole thing on the dream team. So so yeah, it's still controversial to this day. We know that Isiah should have been on it though, but just one place, one time in terms of comments and what you do and how you represent yourself and your character. Oh well.
And the team were done answering questions about Isiah. But with training camp approaching, a bigger question would need to be answered. Hello, how you doing? How would the 12 stars that were selected play together?
Welcome.
Training camp began on June 22nd, 1992, in La Jolla, California. And when the gym doors opened, no one was quite sure what to expect, especially the players themselves.
There's a lot of egos in one gym and on one team. Everybody wanted their form to shine and showcase why they were a part of this team.
with all these stars on the team, if it comes down to the last shot, who's going to take the shot?
Me. Everybody in the world has an ego. The only difference between us, we have a reason to have an ego.
Every one of us felt like we was everybody. And when practice started that first day, every player seemed to be trying to prove just how great they were.
It was a very competitive practice, and I'm thinking, aren't we all on the same team?
Patrick go, I don't want to play with Dave, I don't want to play against him. Then you hear Michael say, I don't want to be on Magic's team, I want to play against him.
Every evaluation of Michael Jordan at that time was, he's good, but he's never Magic Johnson. In my competitive nature, I want to use every little bit that I could gather so that I can gain an advantage.
Karl Malone, he's the only guy I would even compare to myself at the power forward position. So I want to prove that I was the best power forward in the world.
Charles. Yeah, he's a great talent. Do I think he's better than me? Hell no. So let's do this. By the time this over with, you're going to be thinking I'm damn good too.
First practice, Barkley drives baseline, and Karl Malone jumps up like this. Barkley just dunked on him so hard. It was just an unbelievable play. I felt like, man, I cannot believe that I'm part of this practice.
A few days later, the team had a chance to acclimate themselves to playing on the same side. Chuck Daly had scheduled a scrimmage against a select group of college players, a group thrilled to be facing off against their idols.
I found out today I might be picking up Magic a little bit full court, so, things are just happening for me that really makes me happy.
My whole thought process was don't embarrass yourself, and that was like the theme for me, like just hang in there.
A lot of those people that I've looked up to, Barkley, Malone, a lot of those people talk confidence, and I think it's going to be a good matchup. There's no advantage on either side.
For the college players, it was a chance to see how they'd match up against the world's best. For Coach Daly, it was an opportunity to get his stars to grow into a single unit.
I think we're somewhere between the mentality of an all-star game and trying to come together as a team. So we've got to continually work on this.
Daly had been hired for his ability to manage personalities and egos. And when the scrimmage began, it became apparent that his players had left one of their biggest weapons, those egos, somewhere else.
The non-fan would think, well, they're going to go in there and they're each going to want their own ball, and Jordan's going to be hogging the ball, and Magic's going to be dribbling all over the place. Point of fact, it was the exact opposite. They overpassed.
It was like, I don't want to start it off. You do it. And before you realize it, the select team was beating us by 10.
We didn't know how to play with each other. We didn't want to step on anybody's toes or hurt any egos. And so these young kids, they were killing us.
We were not into it, and we paid for it.
Chris Webber was a man. I thought, boy, that's guys come this league, I could get out of here.
Bobby Hurley was dominant.
I did have some success penetrating and collapsing the defense, and our energy, our excitement to play, all those things played in our favor.
Bobby Hurley didn't play 2 seasons in the NBA. Nevertheless, it did expose the one weakness they could have had, which is defending against quick guards.
They were playing great. Then I noticed that Michael Jordan is not playing.
I'm saying something. Chuck, then he said, we're all right. We're all right.
Daly watched as his players failed to make up the deficit. And in their first taste of outside competition, the Dream Team lost. A story their coach didn't want the press to get their hands on.
I remember Chuck saying, as soon as the game ended, we were getting ready to let media in, it was race the scoreboard.
Wow. That's part 1 of the Dream Team documentary. That's just interesting. Like, the first day of practice, they won their own ball, and they wanted to show how they were great, why they were selected to be part of this Dream Team. And then when they faced against the college kids, and the college kids wasn't no joke at the time, Bobby Hurley, great player, Chris Webber, Grant Hill, Penny Hardaway, Jamal Mashburn. They had like a squad over there, and they just killed the Dream Team. And the Dream Team just didn't know how to play with each other. The chemistry was off because they were just passive. They wasn't aggressive. They wasn't trying to score the basketball. Everybody was just trying to like, hey, you do it. So it was interesting just to see that dynamic and how they were complete opposite when they went against the kids. And Chuck Daly, to his credit, not letting the media know about that the college kids beat the Dream Team, because if they would have known that at the time, it would have been huge news right there around the U.S. And they would have had like a lot of negativity towards the Dream Team, like, oh, the college kids should have went instead of the NBA team, the NBA players. So, Chuck Daly, to his credit, not letting the media have it and stuff. And then it's great to hear the stories from Jamal Mashburn and Chris Webber. Definitely go listen to them stories and get their side of it. So it's a great documentary so far, and 11 Hall of Famers, a college basketball player, Christian Laettner. So, and then Chuck Daly's the coach, know how to manage egos and personalities, a really good coach. Lenny Wilkins, Coach K, who was the best college coach at that time. So it was just like set. It was set. The names and stuff. It was like, oh man, they're about to go and play. And then interesting about Michael Jordan, didn't really want to play for the team just because of him golfing, and he just probably didn't want to think about basketball. But then when they got Magic and Bud and all the other players, Michael was like, okay, let's definitely do it. And here they are, the Dream Team here. So definitely comment down below and tell me your thoughts on part 1 of the documentary so far. And let me know what you want me to react to next. Still on my series of Wilt Chamberlain videos, so please check them out. Make sure you subscribe to ItzJustJP down below and click the notification bell. You know where our next upload is on the road to 40K. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Look out for my much coming out in a couple of weeks. We'll let you know the launch date. I'm JP, and we out of here. Peace.